Hello Flosstube, this is Becky, the South Texas Stitcher, coming to you from San Antonio, Bexar County, since I don't live in San Antonio, but in the county. This is Flosstube number 5. I want to thank everybody who's been watching, especially the last Flosstube. It just went whoosh, and I was like, wow, people are watching me more. I was so excited to see the numbers go up. I even pointed out to my husband that I said, hey, look, people are listening to me ramble on. And he just went, uh-huh, which means he didn't want to listen to me ramble on. So that ended that conversation. But anyway, I'm so glad that you tuned in to watch. If you are watching for the first time, hello. As I said, I live near San Antonio, Texas, in Bexar County. That's B-E-X-A-R, but it's pronounced like a bear. I've been stitching since I was very young, 16, 17 years old. But I've been doing needlework since I was 4 years old, when my mother and grandmother would sit me down next to them and hand me a needle and thread and tell me to sew like the big girls, and so I did. And I also cross stitch and, excuse me, besides cross stitch, I also crochet. I hate knitting. I tried. I didn't like it. But anyway, before I ramble on too much further, I wanted to let you know I have an FFO. Very excited about that. I have some WIPs, some new starts, and very little haul, but I do have some, and one stitching gift. I am going to the cross stitch store, my LNS, Stitches from the Heart in San Antonio, here later this afternoon, because I started Hunter Gatherer by Rosewood Manor. And if you had asked me last night or yesterday morning when I started it, the one that I said I was going to start June 1st, it started on June 24th. Did I have everything to start? I would have said, oh yeah, no problem. I'm going to start this. I have everything, every color, everything. And I started to stitch, and I went to change colors, and I went, where's the skein? And I stopped, and I said, oh, I bet I put it with such and such. And I went and looked, and I started going through the colors and realized I did not have every color. I was missing 7 colors, and there's not that many in the whole thing. I was like, oh my God, what did I do with the colors? And then I remembered, during the virus, a lot of the flosses have not been available, and I'm thinking that when I picked it all up, that those colors may have been out. So I spoke to my LNS this morning. They have 5 of the colors in out of the 7 that I need. So I'm going to go pick up those 5, and I'll just work around the colors that are missing until I can get a hold of the other colors. But other than that, I should be pretty much good to go. Well, who am I kidding? I am good to go for the next 10, 20 years, because I have enough stuff stashed away that, unless I just need overdyed floss, which is what this is I'm missing, then I pretty much have it. Very little DMC am I missing. Of course, my husband always laughs at me. He goes, what do you mean you don't have that DMC color? And I went, I don't have it. I said, I've never had to stitch with it. And he's like, you don't have every color by now? And I'm like, no, sorry. Have to go to the store, have to go shopping. It's just a devastating thought to have to go shopping, isn't it? But anyway, let me show you my FFO. I think I showed you the FO last time, but I have finished A Beggar's Fourth, and I got this at 50% off at Hobby Lobby, including the ticking. Somebody was mentioning that ticking was hard to find, but I walked into my Hobby Lobby and they had a whole bolt of it. So I bought a yard, even though I only needed enough for an 8x10 frame. So and I didn't pad this. I just stuck it to the board back here, because I figured it doesn't need padding. And then I put this on some foam core, and I was going to put some other stuff with it. But between the stripes and the ticking, I thought, you know what, cording is just going to make that too busy. But this is A Beggar's Fourth by Threadwork Primitives. It is finished. I have a cookbook stand that actually gets used for a cookbook on occasion. But right now, since I haven't done anything like that, I have it sitting on my dining room table, and I have it stand up and propped, because I didn't want to hang this up on the wall, because I'm going to only hang this up till about mid-July, and I didn't want to put a nail in the wall just for 3-4 weeks. So, but A Beggar's Fourth by Threadwork Primitives is finished. I was very pleased with how it came out. I did my own finishing. I took it to the my LNS and was showing it to them, and they were asking, did you do your own finishing? And I was like, well, yes, I always do all my own finishing, because there's a couple ladies there who will do finishing for you. But I went to classes at a different LNS. Oh gosh, back in the early 2000s, I think. So I know how to do flat folds and wall hangings and pinning and lacing and all that stuff. Do I like doing it? Not so much. But do I do it? Yes, because I can, and I don't want to pay somebody else to do something that I can do. That's just me. So anyway, let me get on to my first WIP, and get a board to put behind it so the light doesn't come through it. This is, I think I showed this once before, but I have some more of it done. This is Unicorn Tapestry by the Tiny Modernist. This was an exclusive from this year's market. And last time I showed you, I think I just had this little section of flower here, but now I've finished. And I was surprised. This is the entire width. That's it. It's not very big. I mean, my hand pretty much spans it. So it's not as wide as I thought it was going to be. That's why I had this big piece of fabric, and I was doing, I said, wait, where's the rest of it? And I was like, oh, this is it. Okay. So, and in fact, this, right up in here, I think there's one little more flower right there. And then you go on to the next page, and it's only a 2-page pattern. So that is page 1 right across there. So right in here will be the 2 unicorns, and I plan on doing those pretty quick. I pulled this off my my frame, my standing frame, so that I could show y'all. Then the next thing I started, let's see, that's not a start. That's not a start. Oh. Okay, the next thing I started was I went to, since it was Father's Day month, I decided to start the things that I had purchased for my husband. He does not stitch. He tried one time. I'll have to find it. He did do a little piece this big. He didn't like it. It's okay. But he didn't use the called for colors, and he used some really strange colors. And then he complained that it didn't look like the picture. And I was trying to explain to him, well, you didn't use the colors you wanted. He goes, well, I didn't like those colors. And I said, well, then you can't expect it to look like that if you didn't use those colors. But, you know, what do I know? Anyway, this is from Primitive Hare. This is the W and part of the O from Lupus, the wolf. And I bought the Anne Boleyn. I think it's Anne Boleyn, what they call it. I think it's called Anne Boleyn fabric. Yes, 30 count Boleyn. That's the name of the fabric. And I found all of it and started stitching on it. And only this color for the what did I do then? Okay. Only the words in the border are overdyed. The rest of it's in DMC. So if you were interested in doing it, you really could probably do it all in DMC. I liked the overdye look of, especially the W. This color here, which is Garden Gate. I really like the way that's looking. And so that started Tuesday. Started that on Tuesday, and been working on that. I probably would get more stitching done if I didn't have the TV running, and I would stop and pay attention and back up what I missed and watch that and then start stitching again, and I probably would get more done. But that requires more quiet than I want in the house. Goodness, what is that? Anyway, the next thing I started this yesterday, as I said. I started Hunter Gatherer by Rosewood Manor. I was going to start this June 1st, and so by now I should have had a good portion of it done, but I didn't start it until yesterday. So this is the top left corner right there, and I don't know if you can see it, but I had to add muslin to the piece to put it on the frame. I don't like stitching it when it's just got the 2-inch extra piece of fabric, it's too close to the frame and my hand hits it and it actually bruises my thumb. So I put some muslin on the top and one side so I could do this, and when I get it done and closer to this side, then I'll go and probably put more fabric over here, but I wanted to start it, so I just knocked out 2 pieces of muslin, and I had a lot of muslin. This is the one I think I said just a few minutes ago that is missing floss, and I don't know why. I thought I had it all, but I've been working on that yesterday and earlier this morning. I was sitting there watching a little TV. My mother has called me 3 times already today, so I had to stop and talk to her. Otherwise, I probably would have even had a little bit more done, but no, not with my mom calling me. And it's calling me for silly things. She planted avocado seeds. It's like, really? Avocado seeds? Oh, this is the unicorn tapestry. So then, let me show you my gift. My son, he's kind of followed in his dad's footsteps to a certain extent. They both were in the Air Force, then they both became police officers, and then they both got out of the police force and did other things. And so Air Force and police, they both did the same thing. And the next jobs were much different. But my son is back into, I don't want to say emergency, because he really doesn't do emergency stuff like his dad does. He is the, part of risk management for the state of Texas. And they don't respond like everybody else does for emergencies and stuff, but they do have to be aware of it. So they sometimes see each other in the same classes and stuff, because they live 2.5 hours north of us. When he got out of the police force and started doing other things, he realized he was doing a lot like his dad does also. He gets up, he eats, he goes to work, he comes home, he eats, he watches TV and goes to bed. And there's no deviation there except for, you know, a video game or 2. And he realized that he needed something else to do. So he decided that something that he would want to do was he would try his hand at leather work. He has been doing this now for 6, 7 months, 8 months, less than a year. He made me this. He knows I love buffaloes. So he put a little buffalo on each end. But it is a box that he made, that he tooled and dyed and stitched up himself. So in a way he's doing his own stitching also. But now he said he didn't dye the inside because when you dye the inside, you can't smell the leather. And I was like, okay. But I thought, you know, if I want to, I could put something there. But I have to admit, I do like to come smell the leather. It's got some little flaps here to make it stay in its box form. But oh my gosh, look at this tooling. He did all that. That is just gorgeous. And as I said, he's still relatively new at this. But I have to admit, he and my 2 daughters all of them are artisans in some form or fashion. I think I mentioned my oldest daughter is a teacher and she teaches art. She also cross stitches and knits. She makes her own yarn. Oh my God. It's like, she told me something about one day, she was like, I said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm spinning. And I went, I beg your pardon. I thought she meant she was like on a bicycle doing the class spinning, because she had told me she was going to lose some weight. So I thought she was on a stationary bike spinning. And I just can't see her doing that because she doesn't like she doesn't like bicycles. And I said, you're spinning? She goes, yes, I bought some, I forget which kind of wool she said. I don't know if it was alpaca or something else. And she goes, I'm making my own yarn. And I went, what? And then a couple of Christmases ago, she gave me some yarn she had made. And I was like, okay, we are getting way too crafty here. But she is an artist. She does big pieces. My youngest daughter is an artist also. She does beautiful work also. But nothing she ever does is like bigger than this. She does small things. And it was just so amazing to watch. I mean, one is, and it's very detailed, and my older daughter, she just does her own designs and goes for it. Or she'll pick something she likes and she'll kind of make a copy of it, but it's got her own spin. My youngest daughter, when she draws something, she can sit there and look at it. And when she's drawing it over here with this, while she's looking over here, it's identical to what the picture is. And it's just amazing to watch her do that. And I'm just always amazed when she does that, because I can't draw. Just no drawing, no painting for me. If you want me to paint your wall, I can paint wall. You know, give me a paintbrush and some paint, we're good to go. Back in the day, it was so funny. My youngest daughter, her name is Bronwyn, and she had a class project. And she had to take a cover of a book that she read and recreate it onto a piece of poster board, which for her was already stressful because it's not this big, it's poster board. So you would think that she would pick a simple book, anything simple, you know. She could have done Lord of the Rings and done the mountains, because in those days the traditional cover for Lord of the Rings and stuff was some mountains to show their travel. It didn't even have any people in it. So she could have done that. No, she picks her brother's X-Men graphic novel, which had every X-Men on it, and it looked, I mean, it was crazy. It's like, oh my God, do you realize how much detail is in that? And did she tell me to do this, you know, the week before it's due? No, she does the traditional, I have to have poster board because I have a project due in 2 days. I'm like, oh, really? So we got her the poster board, and she started drawing. And it was amazing, the detail she was putting into it. But because it was due so soon, it was taking her longer than she wanted. So her sister offered to help. My daughter Ariel, the older one, she looks at something and she freehands it, but she does not do line for line, etch for etch. So when you look at this piece of board, this poster board, the bottom of it was perfect straight lines and just awesomeness. And the top of it, you could see where there was a different artist, because it's not quite as crisp and clean on the line, because it's comic book lines, which have straight, crisp lines. So then the arguing began, because they weren't doing it the same. And one was taking too long and the other one was doing it too fast. And it was like, okay, just stop. So I think she got an A on as much as she got done. I don't think she finished the whole thing, but she was able to take in the book she was copying and show them, and even the teacher was impressed, but still was like, really? Don't do that. Don't wait the night before. Oh my God, even 2 nights before. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. So anyway, and my son draws, and he's now doing things like this. So I love this. I haven't decided what I'm going to put into it yet. It's going to have to be something spectacular though. They were here for Father's Day. It was the first time we had seen them since March for my father's funeral. So we were all excited, and my grandson hugged me, and he goes, I missed you, Grandma. And I said, yes, I missed you too. And I have missed my family. I mean, we don't see each other to begin with that much, but still, once you start going for long periods of time and there's no end in sight, you start to realize how much you really miss your family. So then I went to Joann Fabrics and picked up a few things. One of the things my son wanted, because he asked me if I would pick him up some needlework scissors. And I was like, you want needlework scissors? And he said yes. When he's using the thinner thread for his leather work, the scissors he had, I guess, were cheaply made, and he said they broke. I think he'd gone through 2 pair of scissors, and he said he knew that I had good needlework scissors, and would I pick him up some? So for Father's Day, that's what I gave him. I gave him a pair of Ginger 5-inch knife sharpened blades, scissors, and I told him, put these in the sheath and be very careful. You will cut yourself. And he looked at me and goes, from experience? I said, yes, from experience. You will cut yourself, so be careful. While I was at Joann's looking for the scissors, I picked up this. This is an iron-on. I haven't decided what I'm putting on yet. It says, needlework, noun. For the time you need to stab something 10,000 times. And it's even got an old pattern number and stuff down here because it was supposed to be a simplicity pattern. But I read that, and I have my, well, I don't have it in here. I have my project bag that's got a little section, this like this big on the fabric with other simplicity stuff. But this is big, and I don't know what I'm going to put this on yet, since I've already got one needlework bag that's got that on there. Then I also bought the Just Cross Stitch for August because it had the ornament premieres in it, and they are so cute. Let me kind of fold this back. This is the ornaments from the premiere edition for Just Cross Stitch. I love the moon. And this little drum-like piece. And if I read the instructions right, I think you use a toilet roll or a paper towel roll in it to make it this round shape. And I want to stitch that. I think I even have this floss. I have to go look for it. But I think I even have that floss. And it's because it was just an overdyed. But I think that's so cute. And the snowman here. I love his hat. I love that hat. The others were okay. Also, I'm not into dogs. Plus, it says Puppy's First Christmas. I don't have a dog. And I think I already have a pattern similar to the peppermint elsewhere. I think I had that from a couple of years ago. But yes, I loved some of those things. And I had looked through the rest of the patterns, but I really didn't see anything that I wanted. Yeah, the other patterns, and you look at the back, it's got a picture of every pattern in it. I just didn't see anything that appealed to me. That's one of the reasons why I kind of quit my subscription to Just Cross Stitch, is because I was not getting anything. I hadn't stitched a pattern out of it, and except for the Christmas issue, I wasn't stitching anything, so I quit ordering those. Then this is the pattern that I got from my LNS. I think since the last time I saw it, I've seen several people have this finished. I think Nisi Lynn, she has stitched this and had it finished. I have never done one of these. I have never done a drum. And when I saw the others online, or excuse me, on Flosstube, I went, oh, I want a drum. I want that drum. Now a lot of people are saying they're not stitching the lady, but I like the lady. I don't know why you wouldn't stitch it. I like her dress. It hides your hips if you have big hips. But anyway, this is a Blackbird Designs Lady Liberty. And I laugh because if you Google, or not Google, but if you go to like 1, 2, 3 Stitch and type in Lady Liberty, you get like 4 or 5 patterns. You have to make sure you get the right Lady Liberty. But I'm going to try and make a drum. As I said, I've never done a drum before. I didn't buy the called for fabric because some of the floss matched the called for fabric. This is the color palette for it. They like, I think it was like the sandy color ones. They just blended into the fabric, and I was like, why would you go to all that work and have nothing to show for it? So I bought a different piece of fabric. This is Parisian Gray 30 count, and I am sorry, I don't know, I didn't write down what company it came from, but this is Parisian Gray 30 count. And it's kind of funny because I called them and told them I wanted a yard of 37 count Parisian Gray, and I sent an email, and I get a call back. No, I did call, and I get a call back about an hour later from someone else from the store, and they said, Parisian Gray doesn't come in 37 count. And I said, I've got a package here that says Parisian Gray 37 count. And they said, no, Cloudburst comes in 37, Parisian Gray comes in 30. And I said, well, what do I have? And they went, we don't know. So I took it up there and found out that it had been mislabeled. It is Parisian gray, and you really can't see too much, but there's some blue in there. But so it's 30 count Parisian gray, and it was 37 count cloudburst, which I decided I didn't like the cloudburst, so I did not order a yard of cloudburst. I haven't made a project bag for this stuff yet, so I need to do something, maybe something patriotic. I haven't decided. Then the last thing, and everybody I know who stitches at least saw this. Even if they didn't want it, they at least saw it, I think, or had the option. I know because I put it on Facebook. Also that you could go to the site. Pandemic. And I don't know how many, if I'm going to have to go buy another inkjet cartridge, but it is 23 pages. And it is just an awesome pattern. Page 22 at the bottom there tells you what sizes it is in the different count fabrics, and tells you how much floss, because it was all over the internet. Well, what size fabric, what size, how much floss? I'm like, you know, if you looked at the pattern that you just downloaded, it is in there. And I did tell the people at the LNS, because she said she was getting calls, and I said, well, it's on the pattern. And she says, it is? I said, yeah, it's page 22. And she went, page 22? Might have been better if they put it at page 2. But it is on there. I love this because it's called Pandemic, and it says, you know, this cross stitch will infect you to stitch it and stuff like that. And the last page is so funny, and I'm not going to read it to you right now because I was trying to keep this at 30 minutes or less. Probably would only take me a minute or two, but I don't want to. Anyway, this is why I originally wanted the Parisian gray. I wanted the Parisian gray, the 37 count that doesn't exist, to do Pandemic on, because it is as big as, it's actually, to me, it's bigger than Death by Cross Stitch, which I have done Death by Cross Stitch. It hangs on my wall. It's a BAP. And if you don't know what a BAP is, that's a big-ass project. Sorry for the language, but that's what it is. It's a big-ass project. So, since they didn't have, I couldn't get the gray in it that I wanted, I decided to go with Squash Blossom. And this is from Access Commodities. Let's see. Got it there. It is a yellow fabric. That is not coming out the true color. That's too pale. If you go to the grocery store and look up summer squash, it's summer squash color. Oh, look. That kind of shows it better right there. Right there. It's beautiful. It's 37 count. And you have to buy a whole yard, or not a whole yard, but a 36 by 27 piece at least. Because I think when you do the borders and stuff, I think it needs 30 by 27, and I just went ahead and got the 36 by 27 piece, and I'll do something with the extra 6 inches later on. I love this. I'm so looking forward to starting this. My floss is coming from Sulky America. I'm going to do the red work blendable, and I thought red floss on this yellow, it's gonna pop. So that is my infection of Pandemic. I need to go and get a notebook with some paper sleeves to put this in. I downloaded Pattern Keeper for the first time. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how that's going to work. Okay, so we have Pandemic. It took me 3 years to do Death by Cross Stitch. Some people were saying, well, hope to get the Pandemic done by the time the COVID is finished with. And I thought to myself, please let me finish it before I die. Forget COVID or any other pandemic that shows up. Is this 4 pages bigger than Death by Cross Stitch? And I think they said it's 1 whole row across the bottom bigger. So it's 4 extra pages across the bottom, and I think somebody said it was 12 stitches wider down the side than Death by Cross Stitch. So it's going to be a bear. But I wanted to let y'all know that I have been infected and I'm going to do it, and we'll see how long it takes. I do have one other thing I want to show you. I figured everybody needs a good laugh. Everybody needs a good laugh sometime in the day. Just a moment. Sorry. It's just almost out of reach. I was going through my boxes the other day, and I forget why I was going through my boxes. And I came across a piece. And this is how come I know how long I've been stitching, because I started this when I was either late 16 or early 17. So in the early 80s, somewhere back in there, I started stitching this. And as you can see, it's not finished. And the reason I brought it out was because I laughed. I was watching a Flosstube the other day, and I don't remember who I was watching, but she was talking about her oldest WIP. And her oldest WIP was from 2017, and she only had one left from then, and I just started laughing. And I'm thinking to myself, I think my oldest WIP is older than she is. And I had just found this again, and I was looking at it, and you can tell it's old because it still has the original needle, and the original needle has rusted into place. So I'm going to have to take that out. This is on Aida when I was start learning. The problem that I have with finishing this, and I do have the patterns in my magazine rack someplace. The problem I have with finishing this is not DMC. This is J.P. Coates Clark. J.P. Coates Clark is very difficult to find. I think they used to sell it at a store in Kerrville, Texas. They did away with their needlework section. And I went, oh, no, you can't get rid of it. But they did. Then I know there's a store in Fredericksburg, Texas that sells it. But the problem is I have never bothered to take this with me. So I can't match up the colors. I thought about just taking it up to the cross-stitch store one day, and there's a lady up there who's good at that, and I'm saying, find these colors so I can finish this. And I don't even remember what's supposed to be down here. I have to go find the pattern. I mean, literally. Let's see. 40 years ago. This is either 39 or 40 years old, depending on when I started it. So that's how old this piece is. So if you're younger than 39 or 40, yes, it's older than you are. And this is still not, well, this is my oldest, but it's still not an old WIP. I mean, it's my oldest WIP, but I still have other old WIPs. If you've ever looked at Angel of Love from Told in the Garden, the one where the whole skirt is beaded, I started that one in 1995. Yes. So it's 25 years old. That one, I made a mistake. 27 rows from the bottom. I hadn't started beading yet, but I have to take out 27 rows. And it was that horrible DMC gold floss that they used to sell. It was 248Z, which nobody uses anymore. And because I don't want to use it anymore, and I had already put in a whole bunch of gold, and I'm like, oh, I gotta finish it with that floss, or that gold. And so I have never finished it. I haven't even taken out the mistake. If I hadn't made the mistake, it probably would have been finished. Also, it requires a gazillion beads. But at the time, I had never worked on linen before, and I just went and bought a piece of linen that was at Hobby Lobby. That came in a little package. I didn't understand about the counts in those days, and because at that time I'd only ever used a piece of Aida, and so it was supposed to be my first linen piece. So I don't know what size linen it is. I guess I should just try and go figure out and count it. But I don't know if the beads will fit. So I don't know if the whole thing just needs to be forgotten about. I did do the girl's face, the angel's face, and I think one wing and part of the halo. So I should just pull it out one day and look at it. But I don't want to deal with the 284Z anymore. It was, oh my God, it was horrible. Talk about shred. Oh my gosh. You can also tell this is an old piece because back in the 80s, they told you to bind your edges to keep from fraying with masking tape. And that still has part of the masking tape on it. You can tell I cut it off on one section there. The bottom is still there. But yes. And it was on white. It's no longer white. It's bad. It does say, and I think maybe this is another reason why I didn't work on it a lot, because the floss I used for the words is very pale, and I think when it was actually white you could see it, but now that it has faded into this cream, the thread matches. But it says, "Thy mercies fill the earth, O Lord, how good thy works appear. Open my eyes to read thy word and see thy wonder there. My heart was fashioned by thy hand, my service is thy due. O grant that I may understand the duties I must do." This was from a pattern book in the 80s that was full of antique samplers. There were several of them, and I don't know. Maybe I'll go find that. Just a minute. Hold, please. Okay, I went and found it. This is the pattern book that I was using. This is Antique Museum Samplers. It's coming apart. This was published in 1982. So if it was in 82, then I was 17. Yes, I think so. Yes, because I would have been 18 later that year. So definitely started when I was 18. I know I started it before I left home to get married, and I was married when I was 18, right out of high school. That's why we always tell people, don't ask us to talk to your children about not getting married at a young age. And let's see, which one was it? And there's well, I don't see it. I know this is the pattern book. Oh, there we go. There's a color picture of it. Wow, and I didn't remember that it had buildings in it. Or houses. And I know houses right now are very popular, so I was in vogue 40 years ago. But that's it. I don't like pink, so that's why I was using blue flowers. And it's called Thy Mercy Sampler. But I liked it. I mean, I liked the way it looked. But as I said, I didn't like the pink flowers. That's why I had blue. So I need to start this again. Maybe I'll finish it. Yeah, there's another pattern here. It was the Lord's Prayer. Also very pink. Still not into pink. This is the other one that I loved. And this is a sampler done on black. And I have always loved that piece. And I always told myself that when I finished the first one, I would do this one. The first one's not done yet. So now that I have some extra black fabric, I may have to consider that to do that. Oh yeah, that is stunning. But as I said, this is a pattern from 1982, Antique Museum Samplers, and I doubt you can find this anywhere. I didn't even bother to look at the moment. But here are the originals. The one that I'm looking at doing is this one, and it was done in 1808, and it says embroidered in 1808 in America, Portland, assuming Maine, by Mary Richards, age 13. And then the black one that I like so much was stitched in 1820 in New England by Lucy Lathrop, aged 11. I should have started with that one. It was smaller. And then Lord's Prayer was done in 1751 in England by Elizabeth Gouger, aged 11. And there's the one on the front says it was done by Ann Wood, aged 8 in 1817. But all of these have been charted for you to put your name and the date you do it in. So the one that I'm working on, it actually says right there, 1982, and it's got the woman who stitched it here. I may put my 1982 to 2020. So just a few years. But yes, I mean I have been stitching a long time. I just had not finished it. This was supposed to go into my first home. I had all kinds of crochet doilies. I mean, I was set with doilies. My grandmother made me pillowcases, which I'm not exactly sure what happened to them, but I quit using them because they were getting bad. And I had done this because I was going to have my needlework hanging up in my home. And, well, I had needlework hanging for my home, but not this piece. So I'm going to have to check it out and see what I'm missing other than the colors. Let's find floss from 1982. Let's see. Yes, it did call for DMC. I was just thinking about it. Did it even call for DMC or did it call for J.P. Coates Clark? But it called for Bates. And I remember Bates, but I don't remember much about it. And then, of course, it calls for DMC. But I'll have to see if I can match those colors. But anyway, y'all have a great day stitching. Stay safe. Wear your mask. I know it's hard to breathe at times with them on, especially in Texas when you step out of the store with your mask on. And the heat takes your breath away because you've got, you know, you're breathing into that mask right here. And all of a sudden, you're just like, you can't breathe at all because of the heat is just so much into the mask. Wear your mask. Be safe. Talk to your loved ones. Talk to your friends. Don't let them become lonely. We're having to I don't want to say re-quarantine, but we're having to scale back on traveling again. Just be safe. Be careful. Tell the people who you love that you love them and that you'll see them as soon as you can. But otherwise, have a great day stitching and God bless. Thank you. Bye.